round of applause for Dayna.
Hey, my brothers in the front and my wife. Hi. Hey, good to see everybody. Excited. My section here is called Tools and Takeaways. So we're going to talk about how do we kind of capture some of the key things that we're learning here today and start to document them, start to write them down. There's a lot of great things that you're going to hear from the various speakers today, but sometimes like, hey, what do I do with all that information? And we're going to give you a tool to actually start that today. So think about this. You probably you met a lot of people today. You're like, hey, I haven't seen you for a while. Hey, what's up? Hey, we should do lunch. We should do coffee. What usually happens when you actually say that? Does it actually happen? 50-50 at best. Today we want to make sure that you actually do something. Eric was hoping to give everybody a takeaway, and so that's something that we're going to focus on. Okay, a couple math questions for you. Matt was talking about math. How many people do you influence today, in a week, in a year, in your lifetime? Today, you're probably going to talk to 10 or 20 people that you meet. This week, maybe it's going to be 50 or 100. Over the course of the year, a few hundred that you're going to directly influence. For some people, depending on your role, it could be thousands, potentially. So are you making a difference? You definitely are. What kind of difference are you making? And what is different? What does it take to make a difference? And it's the influence that you have. So what kind of influence do you have with your life? And so we're going to talk about how to live out your mission to multiply your impact. You're going to do that by leveraging that influence and being intentional about it by starting a personal vision map. And so that's the hammer that he was talking about, that we're going to talk about how to start a personal vision map. Now, the way to start this, we're going to talk about for a business, what would it be, and then talk about individually. So for a business, it's a strategic vision map, and it's the blue version. You'll see a blue version and an orange version. And the blue version here of the strategic vision map gets an organization to think about why we exist. What is our purpose? What is our mission as an organization? What is the way that we're unique? The way that we do things is a little bit different than our competition, and we might have something special about our culture and the values that we have and the way that we interact with our customers. What do? There's products and services. You do those things, but hopefully you do them in a way that is unique and different, that has meaning. Because you're impacting your customers, and your customers have consumers, and so it's the impact that you're actually having on consumers, end users, they're going to be using your products. Key things along the way are what do you measure to make sure that you're on track as an organization, and be thinking about where you're going, which is where your customers need you to go. But all of that is all centered around why you exist. Simon Sinek, TED Talk a number of years ago, start with why you exist. Articulating that purpose and understanding exactly what your organization is doing to try to be meaningful in the type of impact that they have. Kind of make sense about that? Let's go through a couple examples here to kind of get you acclimated with that. This one is the West Coast Chamber of Commerce, and you're going to see that it has the same type of content, why we exist. The way. Anybody? On the left-hand side, let's go back one, Justin. Left-hand side, why we exist. For them is to be a catalyst, a convener, a champion. They have a 10-year target to be a trailblazing organization. You kind of move over, these all kind of go left to right. What are their core values? They have a proven process. What they do is to cultivate business success. And they measure a lot of things, but the key is they're looking at who do we serve? 1,200 member organizations that have 80,000 employees. That's a big impact for the chamber to have. And you think even farther, those 1,200 companies, how many customers do they have in Holland, in West Michigan, around the world? It's tens of thousands, it's millions probably. So the chamber is having a really big impact. Yeah, it starts here in West Michigan, And down below, celebrating the people and the culture that they have and how it's a great place to work, but they're now taking that to the rest of the community. Let's go next. Now here's like 4 different examples. I know you can't see them all very well, but I want you just to kind of notice that they all have a similar shape and style to them. Why we exist, the way we're unique, what we do, who we serve, and then some type of strategic information at the bottom. You kind of see that shape, but they're all very unique and different depending on what the organization is. It needs to reflect who you are, the brand of your organization, and what's meaningful for you guys. What is your purpose? What's kind of cool here is I'll highlight a couple. The Outdoor Discovery Center, man, they do so many things, but sometimes the community isn't even quite sure about all the things that they do. And so now on one page, the strategic vision map can illustrate all of that. A couple key things is they impact 68,000 people this past year, students, parents, teachers, and another 50,000 people who came from out of town to experience these things. So their purpose is to build a better community, which I didn't know until I started working with them. What a great purpose to build a better community through what they're doing. In the upper right, this is Central Wesleyan Church. You're probably aware, big church on the south side, 3,000 people on a Sunday morning. They have a great impact here in West Michigan. They actually are connected to a family of churches, of 20 other churches worldwide, and together they are amplifying the hope and life of Jesus. And so now on a Sunday morning, those 20 churches across the world are impacting 10,000 people on a Sunday morning. So a lot of us didn't even know that, but their purpose of amplifying the hope and life of Jesus has now taken them around the world. On the upper left, the creative dining services, they have about 70 colleges. They provide dining services for them. And what's pretty neat is if you think about all the meals that they serve, tens of thousands of students, they're actually serving 100 million meals a year. Lots of chances to impact end users. And what's really neat is in their purpose, they say we're going to conduct ourselves based on Christian principles. That is at the core of their organization. That's what keeps them centered, integrity and the values they have. And in the bottom right, this is National Nail. We're going to get to hear from Scott Baker, CEO, a little bit later. And this is a summary of the vision map that they have. And their purpose is to inspire people to build better. Better products, better experiences, better relationships. You'll notice that the right-hand side is kind of open. It gets filled in every day with what their employees do. Hey, how are we going to inspire people to build better? Better communities, the way they give back. They're a very generous organization in the way they give back. Better lives for their employees, better marriages, better family extensions. So it's a really neat purpose that they have, and I love what you guys are doing because it's having a lot of impact. How is it in the marketplace? They have over 100,000 end users of their product. So these organizations here are having a big impact, a lot of influence, but they're also very focused on what type of influence that they're having and focusing at the center on the purpose of that organization and how to live it out. Is that making sense on the strategic vision map, how that works? Okay, now we're going to shift into personal vision map because all of you as a leader have a chance for influence literally every day. On the left-hand side of your row, underneath your seat, grab the little packet of information, the sheet, and just send one down to each person, if you would. This is the tool that you heard about, and this is the personal vision map. Now you notice that the language here is just a little different. Why do I exist? What is the way that I am unique and the way that God has gifted me? What do I do? Who do I serve? And how am I going to live that out? And so we're going to kind of fill this in with some prompts along the way on the next slide. Things that go with why I exist are things like your purpose, your mission, your calling. If you've thought and prayed about and tried to understand who you are and what is the meaning you can have in life. What's the way you're unique? Your DISC, your Colby, thank you, Mary Martin, for teaching us about how to use this type of a tool. Spiritual gifts, Enneagram, what's the unique way that you have been created? What do you believe in? What are the values that you have? Then what do I do? Okay, I have a job. You all have a job, and that might be what you think about. That's what I do. But you're also a neighbor, you're a friend, you're a spouse, you're a parent, you're a donor, you're an alumni. There's a lot of things that you do, and you think about all the people you serve in those various roles. So you start to think about how many friends and family and spouses and neighbors in church do you get the opportunity, the gift to be able to influence them. What is that influence? And how to be intentional about thinking what that influence is. On the bottom are just a few more prompts. Once you get through that, well, what are the priorities that you want to set for yourself, the development plans that you might have? So priorities could be things like stewardship. Matt just talked about generosity. Stewardship for you, your family, your business. Areas to get into development with training and executive coaching, connections you might have with a small group, accountability group, and goals you might set for yourself. So this is the template. But literally today, we're encouraging you to start writing things on the blank side. As Matt says something about being generous, write that down. I need to be more generous. Just anything like that to start capturing things like that. I want to show you a couple examples of this. The first one is with our own Eric Fogg. Eric, thank you for letting us share this personal vision map for you. What's kind of unique about Eric, he journals, he writes, he thinks and processes about things like this. So he already had a lot of the elements of the personal vision map, and we just kind of assembled them and made them to be a little bit more organized. And so now everything is on one page of all the things that Eric really wants to focus on. And I was going to highlight a couple things, in bold, why I exist, to glorify God in the mission field where he places me. Currently, business and mission, currently in West Michigan. He's been in Ecuador and other places. Right now, this is the mission field that God has called him. And so all this is playing out right here with this organization. But this is a great guide for him. Some of the priorities he have: God first, marriage second, continue to develop connections, advance the leadership conference here in West Michigan. Thank you for doing that. And look what's happened here this year that we all get to share in this. Is this kind of making sense now as these things start to come together? It's like puzzle pieces, that really start to fit together and they make sense. And now, for Eric, he can continue acting on this, and it provides a guide for him. Let's look at another one. This one's Chris Wysong. Chris, are you here too? Chris, thank you for letting us share yours as well. Chris is not a Michigan State fan. Can you tell? He's like, Dayna, don't you dare get any green on this vision map. So that was my instruction from him. So, oh boy, here we go. That was dangerous. I should not have done that. Gosh, sorry that's a little fuzzy. Sorry about that. But Chris is thinking about even like the next season of life for him, the next 5 or 10 years. How can he have a lot of impact? He's had a lot of great things in the past. He's a leader of a family-owned business that has had a lot of success. He is a family man, active in church. He's a great guy. But he's also had some struggles in the past. He has some things he dealt with. 20 years ago, he was in 12-step program for alcohol recovery. And that was a big issue, big step for him at the time. And since then, he's been a recovery sponsor for many men. And he's had a chance to speak and share, and he's having a lot of influence through that. And as we started talking about what the next 5 or 10 years you might be like for him, we're like, how could you leverage that experience in that past into the current? And even some of the business things have been a challenge. There's family involved, dysfunctions of things, and business is not always easy, but he's got some great experience on the business side and the recovery side. So if you go the very far right, which I can't really highlight, if what does he want to do in the future is to be a business recovery sponsor for businesses that are going through some type of challenge, an integrity issue, financial, something like that. How can he come like? So he's developed a 12-step business recovery program. It's like super cool to take who he is and who God has made him and the experiences he has had and then move that forward in an exciting new chapter. Making sense how this works? Now, he happens to have a really dramatic thing in his past, but I bet we all have something like that is a key learning that helps make us who we are today. So the challenge is, if we go to the next slide, is for all of us to be thinking about where you have a chance to influence. This is Chris's. There's like 7 dark circles in the center: church, family, work, donations, and then there's the light blue, and those are other people and organizations, and then it just goes on and on. And so we did this and realizing that Chris literally directs with a few hundred people regularly, thousands in his lifetime, tens of thousands of indirect influence. Because, if he sponsors someone and then that person has a wife and he has a job and he says something about that Chris taught him, and it just goes on and on. So think about the influence that you have and start to do something like circles of influence to be realizing the type of impact that you have. So the last thing here is just to encourage you guys to start to fill yours out. One side is blank, one side is the prompts that have the different kind of questions that could prompt you. And I encourage you today, just to start writing a few things down that are things that you're hearing today that could apply to your personal vision map. And I encourage you to do that. Does that make sense? All right, tools and takeaways. There's your hammer, and I hope you hit well. See ya.